Welcome to the 7 p.m. Tuesday meeting with me. My name is Jacqui Lewis, and each week on Tuesday, we gather on the BN Multi page and in the BN Bariatric group to talk about all things nutrition and health and post weight loss surgery stuff. So during the week, you get a couple of opportunities in the group to post your questions. And each week on Tuesday at 7 p.m, we meet on the page and I answer them to the best of my ability. And if I can't answer your questions, I usually give you some other information or somewhere else to look. It's all general advice, and generally I will redirect you back to your healthcare practitioner, but hope to support you in some way along the way. Today we'll chat. We'll do questions first, and then we are looking at what I'm up to for the next from next Tuesday. I'll let you in on what I'll be doing for 2 weeks, and I'll ask you to join me. So you've got 2 days from now to make a decision on turning life in some ways upside down for the better. So more on that at the end, and then we'll also announce the winners of the Transformation Tuesdays. Thanks again for your participation in that one. It's incredible, and I hope it's inspiring you all along the way to see the transformations that are taking place. And we also have some new products that we were looking at showcasing as well. So here we go. Thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions along the way, you can also just enter them into the comments here as well. I'm trying to find where I put that so that I can see me. Let me see, I'll just reload that. So the first question, thank you to Eva Hawkins, which is really pertinent, and we've been talking a lot about calcium and bone density. It is an issue after surgery, given that prior to surgery, your calcium absorption from diet or supplements or wherever it's coming from is 40%. So 40% of whatever you eat or supplement with gets absorbed. The other 60 doesn't, which is okay. And after surgery, it's been seen to be as low as about 9 or 10% of dietary and supplemental calcium is absorbed. And the reason for that is that dietary calcium relies a lot on acid for absorption, and both the bypass and the gastric sleeve do inhibit some production of those gastric secretions that help with calcium absorption. So some people do see down the track, and I don't know if I'm right, but I'd need to do my research again. I think it's predominantly women, and the reason for that is post-menopausal women, once estrogen is out of the picture. Estrogen is very protective, and it helps to maintain our calcium levels in our bones. So once we run out of estrogen, we don't have that protective mechanism there. So our calcium needs go up again after menopause, or generally I would start to look at adding in some extra in that lead up to menopause as well, just as a protection. But Eva, back on track, Eva Hawkins was asking about how to increase calcium when she can't tolerate dairy. And I do see that as well. There's some lactose intolerance that can come with the surgery. So you're up against it in some ways, but there are solutions. So calcium at the moment, Eva's taking 400 milligrams twice a day. So that's 800 milligrams, which isn't bad. Generally, the recommended dose based on the ASMBS weight loss surgery guidelines, the recommended daily dose of calcium after weight loss surgery is between about 1,300 milligrams from food and supplements, anywhere up to 2,500. So a lot of that will be based around your age and your sex and your family history, and also your bloods. So it looks like Eva's got some reports that have come back, and calcium is low in the bloods. And also she's been maybe had a bone scan, DEXA scan, which is a good thing to do. And to have a baseline DEXA scan is a great idea after surgery, so you can make sure that bones are not being relinquished. So the bone scan in her hips is showing a score that's -1. So it's showing signs of osteopenia, and then osteopenia is the precursor to osteoporosis, which is penia in medical terms is something's missing, so it's low. Lymphocytopenia means there's not many lymphocytes. Osteopenia means there's not many bone making minerals. Also, there's a few other penias. Then osteoporosis. Osteo refers to the bones. Anything you see as osteo is linked to study of the bones or refers to the bones in the skeleton. Porosis means porous, so also brittle and fragile. So it means that those calcium minerals and also magnesium is a big part of that. There's a few other minerals, phosphorus, that are really important for bone density. Vitamin D is also a massive problem in our community and is reported as quite low. So you have to have all your ducks in a row. And also there's a period during weight loss where rapid weight loss it's been actually a force that's been exerted on your bones or your skeleton for a period of time. And when you're really rapidly, we call it unloading, your bones then aren't being sent the message to be strong, because that's how weight training and exercise increases bone density, because there's a force being applied to the bones. So the body has a response. It's very clever. The body goes, if I'm going to keep up this load, this exercise, this weight that I'm carrying around, or this impact, I'm going to have a strong skeleton. So that's where bone density and exercise are tied together. Vitamin D deficiency is a problem because it's needed for locking the calcium into the bones as well. And vitamin K is another one that's quite, it's not new, but it's a lot more talk about vitamin K and bone density, and kind of where it's very efficient at choosing where calcium gets deposited. So it's a good one to keep on top of as well. So at the moment, long story, calcium is a long story because it's really important, because it is a neurotransmitter. It helps your muscles to contract, and muscle contraction includes keeping your heart beating. So we talk about calcium as being the most tightly regulated nutrient in the body. So if the bloods are low, the bones will give up calcium because it's really important to keep your heart beating. So we're very, very clever, but then we come with imbalance if we're dragging on the bone density and the calcium from the bones. So I would say to Eva, they need to have a look at, obviously it's diet related. They need to look at what kind of supplementation you need daily as a dose, making sure it's calcium citrate, which, because you're taking the chews, you've got the right formulation. Our calcium supplement is made, again, based on the weight loss surgery guidelines laid out by the ASMBS. And the reason they recommend smaller doses more regularly is for better uptake. So it's better absorption if you scatter it throughout the day rather than take a massive dose. And that's why ours are formulated the way they are. Calcium citrate is well absorbed. So our calcium chews are calcium citrate at a 200 milligram dose, because that's where the research lies, and that's been proven to be the best way of applying calcium after weight loss surgery. So you can always rely on BN for the research. So I would suggest looking at other forms of calcium, and this is good because I get to talk about sesame seeds and how wonderful they are. 100 grams of tahini, which is a lot to eat in one day, has about 400 or 500 milligrams of calcium in it. So when you're making your protein balls, add as much tahini as you can cope with. But look at different ways of using tahini. It's beautiful, and it's kind of adds that creamy richness to maybe a salad dressing, or different foods where you can put a sauce on the top using tahini as much as you can. Broccoli's got some good calcium in it. The green leafies do, but particularly broccoli. Off the top of my head, I'd have to search. Tofu is good. And also almonds are good. They have good levels of calcium in them, but I'll find a list for you and give you the like the amount of each food that you could consume and how much calcium it has in it. But also, yeah, with the tiny tummy, you also need to look at how much you're supplementing, and that might just need to be increased. I imagine if you've had a bone scan done, you'd probably be able to take all of that to someone who can really sit with you and work out what's going on. And that's the answer to question 1. So then we also had a conversation in the group this week about ferritin. And ferritin is the storage of iron. So when they do your blood tests, there's like an iron studies panel that's done. One of them is iron, which is in your blood, or serum iron. Then we look at different other markers for iron, either iron status and also storage. So ferritin is an indication of what's stored. And often if you're either not supplementing regularly enough, consistently, and you're not absorbing very well, and if you're a woman, I see a lot of women who after surgery also have this weird period where they're bleeding heavily as their hormones all settle in. And during that rapid weight loss period's a word I'm using a lot. After that, during that extreme weight loss, you have an endocrine almost storm, and it can mean that you're either not had a period for ages and you end up having some heavy bleeding, and that's where you're losing a lot of iron, on top of not eating much food and not being able to absorb it as well as you used to. So again, I'm not recommending doses over the internet. But if you do have low ferritin, there's different ways of dealing with that. Liquid iron supplements quite good. Looking at different forms again of iron, there's ferrous fumarate, there's ferrous sulfate, and asking maybe your pharmacist or your dietitian which might be the best form for you. Also looking at dosage on our there's one flyer that we've got that talks about hair loss. So when hair loss is present and there's deficiency, it gives like a regime of dosage to help to bring that back up again. The general recommendation for a weight loss surgery patient based on the ASMBS guidelines is about 60 milligrams a day. So from food and supplementation, roughly looking towards 60 milligrams. If you're in a deficient state, you may need more than that. And it's not just until you start to feel better. So when iron is low and ferritin is low, the storage, it's affecting the way your blood cells are forming. So you've got poor concentration, low oxygen, you're tired, can't remember anything, and anxiety. Some people have panic attacks. Some just have this really kind of weird, unusual anxiety. Some feel like they just can't plan very well. So it's almost like you've got this foggy kind of feeling in your head. And iron deficiency will also lead some people to like restless leg syndrome, when you're trying to sleep and your legs are twitching, and also poor sleep maintenance. So maybe you can get to sleep because you're knackered, because your iron is low, but staying asleep is something else. And that's when the anxiety might kick in, is during the night when you're not sleeping. So these are all just signs and symptoms of iron deficiency. But what is going on is that the foundations of your blood cells are not there. So particularly with B12 being an issue in our community, as well as iron, it can mean that blood cells aren't forming well. So you've got low oxygen in the blood and that sort of thing. Also, low iron will affect your thyroid function and your weight loss. So generally when iron is at a good level, you'll feel more robust and energetic and like a go-getter, but you'll also be losing weight better. And looking after your body overall. So it's not just, oh, my iron is low and I feel terrible. There's a reason for it. And it does take a long time to catch that up. And the reason for that is that every blood cell has a lifespan of about 120 days. So when you're low in iron and ferritin and your blood cells are not as healthy as they could be, those blood cells live for 120 days. So you start putting in the iron, you start adding in the B group properly, and looking at your diet, but you'll see that that will take like one whole blood cycle of 120 days to actually really kick in and start to make you feel good. If your iron is really low, your ferritin is really low, it can take 6 to 12 months of supplementation really regularly to help that blood to form properly. The other way around it, aside of supplementation, is iron infusion, and they're a huge part of our community as well. Lots of, sorry, I've got dogs running around again, dogs everywhere. Lots of iron infusions as well, because ferritin just gets to be too low and people are feeling terrible. It's also a contributor to hair loss. So looking at iron infusions, not necessarily something to rely on, because daily maintenance is much better than just one big whack of iron, but it can really help to start you feeling human again. But also making sure when you're doing the iron infusions that you're keeping your multis going in, because you need a lot of antioxidant nutrients as well, like vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin E. So yes, anything below about 10 is classified as anemia, and it'll be really affecting the way your blood's forming. So it's something it's not nice to sit at that lower end of the range. Anywhere up to about 100, you'll start to feel so much better. But I think a lot of people wait until they'll see one set of bloods and then the next one's going down and then the next one's going down again. But I don't know why they don't capture that a little bit earlier, so you don't have to walk around like a zombie for months on end. So that was your answer, Vicky. It's a long one because it's such an important issue, and it's also something that relates to so many people. So it's a good one to chat about. So thank you. Pamela Lanigan was asking about blood pressure. Did yours change after weight loss surgery? I can't say I was super aware of mine before, except it was normal, but now it's quite low. I've had a lot of medical and hospital stuff in the last 12 months, and it was always systolic in the 90s. Wow, that's low, but now can go down to about 80. You must be finding it hard to stand up straight. I've been told it could be due to dehydration or not enough salt, and I get a 6-monthly blood test at my bariatric clinic, and they are always good. So those nutrients are in line. Is something that anyone else has noticed? And I wonder if when you're getting up, you're feeling dizzy or that sort of thing. I don't usually link blood pressure to iron deficiency, but it is a good one to just check on, just to make sure that when you're going from sitting to standing, there's enough oxygen in your blood to do the job. Weight loss can affect blood pressure. The systolic pressure is the pressure on your arteries as the blood is leaving the heart going to the body. And the diastolic pressure is the measure of the pressure on your heart as the chambers relax and fill. So when you have boom, 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 you've got relax and contract. That's the 2 heartbeats, and that's what they're measuring, is the pressure. So an average systolic pressure, which is the number at the top, is normally about, an average is 120. Fitter people can sit a little bit lower. And yes, generally as your health improves, your blood pressure will dissipate, because when you're carrying extra body weight, you also make this whole amazing network of capillaries and blood supply to that tissue. So the pressure, by the time that your body's pumping blood to all those tiny little capillaries in that big body, it's a lot of work. And you can see why blood pressure does raise when people's body weight goes up as well. I would maybe have it checked again, just maybe check it on a regular basis and see that it's kind of stabilized at that low pressure. And then if it's impacting on your everyday life, I would definitely have it looked at. And I'm sure if your doctor's measured 90, I wonder what the diastolic pressure was. That's the main one to be concerned about, because it's the pressure as your heart's relaxing, and it's The systolic one will go up and down depending on maybe what you've done in the day, or if you've had coffee, or if you've been exercising, but the diastolic one should be relatively the same. So it'd be good to maybe do, you know, a week of just random blood pressure checking and just see what's going on. And also if it's, if it is impacting and you're feeling faint or dizzy or that sort of thing, it's also good to maybe get a cardiologist involved or some kind of specialist. I don't know who you've seen in the past. So there you go. Thank you. And the next one I did a bit of research on. Jess Bailey was asking about the Ayitas veggie crisps, and I'll post the article I found about them in the group, because the question was, are the Ayitas veggie crisps okay to eat as a snack? And I was like, this is a great example of marketing because no, they're not. I'm sorry, they're not. They're veggies. And this is the thing, on the front of the packet, it says veggies and it says gluten-free and it says less this and less that. And their calories are not much less than potato chips. So you could almost eat potato chips and be in the same situation as you are eating your veggie chips. I'll give a brief synopsis and I'll post this great article. Someone's pulled it all apart and done the comparisons on veggie chips as opposed to potato chips, and it really isn't much different. So this is where I'm going to bang on again about reading the labels and getting through the marketing and actually to the nutrition panel on the back of the packet. So when you pick up your Ayitas veggie chips, they talk about how incredibly veggie they are. They're gluten-free, which everybody wants these days. I don't really know why, unless they have celiac disease or an autoimmune condition. But they're, you know, selling themselves on this natural, they're highly processed. Anything like that is generally highly processed. It's not just a cut off piece of, you know, beetroot. It's usually pulled apart and mashed up and then put back together and then baked and then maybe dipped in something and then fried. I don't know, but I'm making that up. But it's generally, you're not just getting what grandma would have got. From, particularly you'll find them in the chips aisle, and that should tell you something. But always pick up, even compare it, look at what you're trying to replace. So it's a swap for, you know, Smith's potato chips, but pick up a packet of Smith's potato chips and have a look at the information on the back as far as nutrition goes, and then pick up a packet of whiz bang gluten-free, salt reduced, you know, Ayitas, and see what the difference is, because it's not huge. They are lower in fat, but they're not much lower in calories. The Ayitas chips have, I don't know what this is, per 100 grams, Ayitas chips have 1900 and, sorry, I'll do it in calories. They have 465 calories, and Smith's chips have 547. So I hope I've helped, but you can't replace chips with chips. And it's sad that we can't, but it's generally, they're making it up. So I hope that helped, and I am being a bit of a stickler, and maybe once a week it'd be a great idea, but I wouldn't replace them. I wouldn't have them as a snack every day is what I'm saying. So thank you. I got a bit of a thrill out of that, and I'll post in the group the article that I followed up on. But a lot of them are lentil chips, they're this and that chips, but they're generally really processed and they're still quite refined, just even though they're saying they're made out of lentils, they'll still have maybe something in them. Blah, blah, on I go on a rant. So thank you, Jess. I hope I haven't done too much damage there. Thank you. Megan Taylor has a question. Curious to know what others enjoyed and recommended eating 6 weeks post-op, and when did you start reintroducing normal foods, and what did you start with? And this is independent and individual. And often you'll be guided by your clinic, and always, even if it's different than what you're hearing, always follow the advice of your practitioner, because generally they know you and they know if there's anything underlying, or they're working on something with you throughout this period that makes your plan a little bit different. So always listen to what you're getting from your professionals, and of course look around at, you know, other options for food and that sort of stuff that fit into those guidelines. On our site, on the front page, on the home page, they've moved it. On the homepage at the top, there's a link called Bariatric Recipes. And if you click on that, there's a few different books you can download for free for all the different stages. And I've put those together, and my beautiful graphics people have made them look good. I put them together because they're high in protein and they've got some good nutrition in them, and they're probably foods that some people might not have explored before. So it gives you just some ideas, especially in the first like puree and liquid and the soft food stage. It can be a bit tricky to just continually eat soft foods. So there's a good range in there. And then I'll call on others in the group to post their favorite early stages recipes or ideas, so that we can support Megan and diversify her food intake. But yeah, looking at making sure you're just eating a range of foods. And I know it's easy to find something that sits well and you enjoy and that sort of stuff, and then just keep eating that. But it's really important to kind of keep that range as wide as you can. So yeah, we'll post the links to the recipe books, and we will also get all your BN family to contribute their favorite ideas for the early stages when you're reintroducing real foods, normal foods. And that's all the questions tonight. And so I promised you I would tell you what I'm planning on doing and what I'm hoping that you might get excited about as well. So last week, it's not on the site yet. Last week, I did a podcast with Kate Save from Be Fit Food. And you might have seen them on the Shark Tank. I think it's about 3 or 4 years ago now. So Kate is a dietitian, and she's also an exercise physiologist. And she teamed up with a bariatric surgeon in Melbourne, and they put together the concept of whole food nutrition for fast weight loss. Even if you have or haven't had surgery, they cater for either bariatric patients or just weight loss, not weight loss in general. And they have a range of different programs that are like a quick reset or a introduction to eating a whole food diet and high protein, low GI, all that sort of stuff. So I decided, given the year that it's been, I've been also not as diligent and motivated with my food as I'd like to be. So I'm going to take on the 14-day challenge from the Be Fit Foods site. So all my meals will be delivered for 2 weeks, breakfast, lunch and dinner and snacks. And yeah, just generally eating a whole food diet based on all of the meals are put together based on the recommended daily intakes of certain nutrients, but also all the calories and everything are completely on point. I think Kate said it took them about 2 years to come up with all the recipes because they had to devise them in a way that, they met all of the criteria that they were trying to meet for these great kind of metabolic resets and fast weight loss. So there's all different sorts of things you can do, but I've chosen the 14-day challenge. Some people have reported losing 3 or 4 kilograms a week and just feeling better. I think all I'm looking for is just feeling, a bit more of a spring clean and a bit more motivation and structure. So I'm starting that on Tuesday, the 8th of September. My delivery will arrive. And if you want to get on board, and I'd love it if I could have some people doing it with me. And if you want to get on board, you've got until Thursday to jump on the Be Fit Foods website and sign up. And then they deliver food on the Tuesday on the 8th. So I would love to see you there. The whole program has just a phone call away, some dietitian support if you've got any questions or you want to know more about what you're doing or how to exercise while you're on the program and that sort of thing. So they book you in for a little consult just to find out what your ideas are why you're doing the program, and then they support you the whole way. There's also a weekly podcast. There's a whole lot of great stuff. So I would like to see as many of us jump on the program as we can. And I'll be checking in, just letting you know how I'm going. And then I'll have Kate in the group on the 15th of September to chat about it all. But your order needs to be in by Thursday at 11 a.m. so that you get the same kind of dates as I do. So I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. It'll be good. And that's all I have from there. The next thing I wanted to talk about, we've had a lot of people asking about, we offered the subscriptions and the regular orders or the automated orders with the discounts for our multivitamins, and that's been the only range that we've really applied that subscription program to. But we have had a lot of people who really want collagen powder and their multis on a regular basis. So check out on the website soon. We'll have a 3-month subscription with a discount on the 3-pack of the tasteless collagen. So you can then tie that in with your 3-monthly order and just get everything shipped at the one spot. So we're pretty excited about that. The other thing, I did a podcast with Izzy LaSalle's as well, and she was just, she's lovely, just sharing her story about how she got to the point of needing weight loss surgery. And we talked a little bit about, health issues that might take us there, and then the undoing of all of that as well. So it's a really good listen, and a story of, resilience. And this young woman, she's only 23 or 24, I think, and just the big decisions she's faced in her time, and what that's left her with, her mindset, and her journey so far. She's only just had her surgery, so we'll be checking in with her again in the coming months as well, just to see how she's going. And last but not least, we have winners, and we have new easy snacks. I posted the picture in the group tonight. There's different colors available. So we've got the winners of Transformation Tuesday this week are, drumroll, Melanie Rose Bailey. Melanie made it to her goal, which is always very exciting. She lost 110 kilos in 1 year and 4 months. So the transformation, I don't know how to share the screen, and I promised you I'd look at that, but I didn't. The transformation is incredible, and I wonder if anyone's recognizing you when you walk down the street, Melanie, because you look completely different. And so you are the winner of one of our new Easy Snacks towers. I was meant to have an example, but just, I'll post it in the group. I put a photo of it in there. So we'll get that out to you. If you can just send us an email to support@bnmulti.com. And the other winner of Transformation Tuesday this week was Linda Furman Inglis. And go back and check out Linda's transformation. It's great because she's got her before and after photos in the same t-shirt. So she's looking amazing. I don't have the text for her story here, but the transformation again is pretty cool and pretty inspiring. So share your story if you're looking to inspire others, and you should be proud of what you've done. So also showing off a little bit's no problem, and motivating others as you go along. So I think that's about all we've got to cover tonight. And I'm just trying to see if there's been any questions along the way. Here's another question. Sandy Wade is wondering how to overcome constipation and painful pooping. She takes 3 big spoons of Bene Fiber every day, and a softener and a laxative, and I'm pre-op. I drink at least 2 litres of water. I would talk with your dietitian if you're finding that this is a new thing and you're on pre-op. It may be something to do with the shakes. The other thing is having a look at, what you've changed in your diet. It's quite high in protein and there's not much food. I think it's usually 2 or 3 shakes a day and 1 meal. So have a look at what's going in. And when you increase your protein input, your output decreases, because fiber is what bulks up your stool. And looking at you know, you're having the Benifiber, the supplement and the softener and still having trouble, I would definitely have a chat with your practitioner about that one and just see if there's anything, whether you've tolerated lactose before, all that sort of stuff needs to be explored just to make sure it's not the shakes that are upsetting you. And yeah, it's not a nice way to go into surgery. But yeah, I can't really say much more than that because it does look like you're doing all the right things. So it could be related to just the change in diet and the change in your microbiome just kind of resetting, and that can happen, just a period of a bit of a shock to the system as such. And also once you take the, you know, more carbohydrate heavy foods out, you're reducing fiber, so there actually isn't much output, but it's nice if it does come out. So I would suggest having a chat with your practitioner. What else have we got here? Nelson in New Zealand. Carolyn is here from New Zealand. Any BN vitamins high in B group? Yes, all of our, well, we've again made the formulation based on the recommendations from the ASMBS, which is the American Society of Metabolic Surgery, and the research they've done on post-surgery patients. So the Bs are high. The B12 is particularly high. It's 500 micrograms a day. Generally from the supermarket, you'll get a multivitamin with about 3 micrograms of B12, and about the highest you'll see usually is off the shelf without being a practitioner brand is about 35 micrograms. So yes, and the others are, you know, 10 to 50 micrograms. You check on the back of the label or just send me an email if you want a breakdown of it. But basically that's the target of the formula is the B group vitamins, because the B12 is so poorly absorbed after surgery. And the B group really need to be there when we're boosting iron, because they all talk to each other and support each other. So I think that is all of the questions. Thank you to Claudia for posting the free recipe ebooks as well. And yeah, they're great. They're easy to download, and then you've got a collection of recipe books. So I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you next week. And please, I posted the links for the Be Fit Food Challenge, and if you're interested, just scroll back and you'll find it, and get involved. And we'll all feel spring and fit and amazing. And I'll see you next week. Have a good week.